was crazy.
There's a boy known only as his forum username Jeducible. He's a sophomore in college, and he's going to be living by himself. So to avoid boredom and loneliness, he acquires an old school Nintendo 64. He only receives one game, Super Smash Bros., and he gets bored of that very quickly, so he decides to scavenge around yard sales and garage sales, looking for more games to play. He finds a couple of classics at other yard sales and other garage sales, but then he finds himself being drawn to this one house where the person holding the sale is just an old man who doesn't seem to know anything about video games. But Jeducible has already approached the man, and he thinks it would at least be polite to tell him what he's searching for. He says he's just looking for any old video games. So the old man goes inside, comes back, holding only a single Nintendo 64 cartridge with no label on it, just the word Majora written on it with black permanent marker. Jeducible is very excited because this is the game from his childhood. This is the game that he wanted the most. He asks the old man how much he wants for it, and the old man says that he could have it for free. It used to belong to a boy who doesn't live here anymore. Although he thinks that's strange, he can hardly believe his luck that he would receive such a gem for free. Although the cartridge for the game seems very janky, he convinces himself that maybe it's a beta version of the game or a pirated copy, which makes him even more excited. So he rushes back to his dorm room, he hooks up his Nintendo 64, and he begins playing. There's one save file on there titled bin. The other save file is open to use. So he starts his own save file. He plays through and he attempts to do this glitch known as the 4-day glitch, where instead of finishing the game as is intended, you can earn yourself another day to complete any things that you might have missed throughout the course of the game. When he performs this glitch, things get strange. He's transported to a mirror version of the same level that he's already in. There's music playing in the background in reverse. He's hearing high-pitched sounds that just don't match up. And it's all very strange, and strange things are happening. In the last few minutes of his playtime, he decides to start recording himself with a capture card. He puts the game down for the night, doesn't think about it much, and Jeducible decides that he's going to go back to the old man's house and ask him who Ben is. So he goes back, and the old man is gone. The old man has decided to move. Very suddenly. Very abruptly. So Jeducible asks his neighbor any information he's willing to give, and the neighbor says that Ben was an 8-year-old little boy that died on April 23rd. That's the only information that's given. It's very strange that this old man has a copy of Majora's Mask that has that save name Ben, when there's some tragedy that occurred in his neighborhood with a little boy named Ben. The next day he decides to play some more, although dealing with strange occurrences in the game, and he records himself again, using the capture card to put the video file onto his computer, and the strange occurrences continue to add up. He's being followed around by statues in the game, and characters, and the background music is still playing in reverse and playing in demonic pitches, and then suddenly some areas of the game where there's supposed to be music, there's just silence, and he's seeing strange animations for characters that don't exist in the original game. So he's recording all of this to show the world. And when he moves these files over to his computer, strange things begin to happen on his computer. A text document opens itself, and it just says hi, and types out a link for cleverbot.com. And when Jeducible clicks the link, it takes him to cleverbot.com, which is a website where you can chat with a robot, or an AI of sorts that is capable of conversation but gives very generic responses. However, when he talks to the Cleverbot, it talks back as if it's speaking directly to him, and is giving him very personal information, asking him to play the game, talking about Majora's Mask, and it starts talking about the things that he is experiencing in the game. So Jeducible believes that he is talking to Ben through Cleverbot. Jeducible believes that Ben is following him while he's playing Majora's Mask. Jeducible believes that Ben is controlling the game around him and changing things to mess with him. And Jeducible makes several forum posts to keep everyone updated on his progress with this game and what's going on, and it's really affecting him mentally. He's not sleeping, he's not eating, and then he decides he's going to stop messing with it. The next blog post is shared by Jadusible's roommate, and it says that Jadusible decided to leave. His parents came and picked him up, and his roommate never even got to meet his parents. He was in such a hurry to get out of there. He decided that he's going to take this semester off at least, but he had been given specific instructions on which videos to upload and which files to upload to bring the truth to light about the Ben situation. And several video files can be found along with Jadusible's original blog posts. Video files that show the strange occurrences in the Legend of Zelda game. Attached at the end of the blog posts is Jadusible's notes, which he had apparently been going to a public computer and writing and emailing to himself because his computer had been infected by Ben. And in these notes, he mentions that he is living alone in a single dorm, yet somehow his roommate is the one that uploaded these videos and these blog posts for him. I just read Ben Drowned, and I watched the accompanying videos. This has always been one of the most talked about creepypastas of all time, but I wasn't really prepared for the level of creepy in this one. Imagine yourself being a young kid, probably 20 years old, and all you're trying to do is relive some of the nostalgia from when you were a kid. Literally, all you're trying to do is play a video game that reminds you of your childhood. You're not out looking for trouble, but still, trouble finds you. You're just playing a game, and all of a sudden things aren't the way you remember them. Things are different, things are twisted, things are sinister. And then when you delve deeper into the mystery of it, you find that basically a boy's soul is trapped in this game cartridge. And then you just gave him access to your computer. You just freed his soul from this game cartridge, and now he's in your computer. Can you imagine not being able to sleep, not being able to eat, just being paranoid that something is following you because of an experience you had in a video game where a boy's soul was haunting you in a video game, and then it just took over your life for days? This young boy's soul was trapped in a game cartridge through some tragedy, and now he's taking the opportunity to play with you, to toy with your emotions, and he wants to be set free so he can do this to more people. The little boy having complete control of the game cartridge is one thing, but when he gets transferred to the computer, and then he has access to all your files, all your accounts, everything on the computer, that's no good. And one of the parts that sticks out to me about this story is the fact that the kid says that he was living in a dorm by himself, in a single, and the reason that he got a Nintendo 64 was to keep himself busy and not so lonely and not be bored. And then all of a sudden at the end of the story he has a roommate? My assumption is that the soul, spirit, whatever, of Ben took over the guy's account and posted those last few posts with the truth and the videos and referring to himself as a roommate and saying that he got picked up by his parents and he left in a hurry. Because there at the end, a new game file showed up on Majora's Mask that was titled Matt, which the reader is led to believe is the name of the narrator of the story. Just like Ben, maybe Matt was also trapped inside the game cartridge. Maybe that happened, or maybe Matt was driven insane and something bad happened, or maybe Matt just disappeared, or maybe Matt did just go home to his parents and just wash his hands of the situation completely. It's a really open-ended ending. Like, there's a cut and dry ending, but when you think about the fact that his roommate is not the one that posted that because he didn't have a roommate, that opens it up a little bit more to interpretation. And that's the trademark of a good story, is having an open-ended ending that can be interpreted the way the reader chooses. The reason I chose to read this story is because I've always heard that Ben Drowned is one of the best creepypastas in the history of the internet. If you had told me that it was about a haunted copy of a Legend of Zelda game, I would not have been interested. It's amazing the way this story is written, given the context of the story itself. And that's why I chose it for the final episode of Season 3's TSAN After Dark. And this is the final video of TSAN Season 3. So we will see you in Season 4, After Dark.
You serve the last.